Hey guys, it's Michelle Pippin with Women Who Wow, the online alliance for seriously driven women entrepreneurs. And I am excited to come here today to do something I've never done. And it is all about me answering questions that people have sent in, some publicly and some have been sent in privately. And I want to answer some of them. I know that we buy from those we know, like, and trust. And I wanted to just, I guess, respond to people who say, you know what, you need to answer just some random questions about you, Michelle, not about Women Who Wow, not about your business, but about you and how you think. And so I'm going to be covering some questions about everything from how I handle disappointment in just a really raw way. I'm going to be covering some things that I feel like are probably pretty random, but maybe they matter in someone's eyes. And so we're going to get started on that. I am going to share this over to my personal page, because I actually meant to go live on my personal page and did not. So here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and share this. And then we will get started. Hey, Brenda, excited to have you here. Random questions answered. Excited to have you here with me, and excited that you're going to be with me in Nashville, Tennessee, October 19th and 20th. If you are not registered for Women Who Wow Live 2018, you have got to register. It is going to be an epic event, and I'm excited to be able to formally announce that Vera Bradley has come in as a sponsor for us. Vera, the founder, Barbara Braddock, has been one of the founders, has been a tremendous supporter of Women Who Wow, and I am just super thrilled that we are going to be having Vera Bradley come in as a sponsor for this event. So super pumped, and I will get started on my questions. So these questions range, they kind of ran from the kind of ridiculous and to the mundane, to the business related, to the personal. And so I just will start. Do I sleep naked? Evidently most high achievers do. And so the answer is I do sleep naked. I've always slept naked. I don't consider it to be a sexual thing. It is a personal preference thing. And I feel quite like encumbered by clothes when I'm trying to sleep. How do I handle drama clients? I fire them immediately, if not sooner. I hate drama. I steer clear of it as much as possible. And with clients or with members, I definitely don't like to, I don't want to put up with that kind of energy, right? Like it's sort of, I rode a bunch of roller coasters with my son when he and I went to SeaWorld recently, and I did that with him, but I don't love roller coasters. I don't need anything to make my life more exciting than it already is. And so how do I handle them? I get rid of them really fast. Do I believe the Bible? I do. Do I work out every day? Obviously not. Have I written things that I wish I hadn't? I'm not sure if this question came in from someone who thinks maybe I shouldn't have written something, or maybe I've changed my mind or regret it. I don't have anything that I've written that I hadn't. I have things that I wrote and destroyed and wish I hadn't destroyed, like my journals, my diaries from when I was a kid. But I had a nosy mom, and so I destroyed them. I wish I had not. I can't even imagine what was in them that I would have been hiding. But have I written things that I wish I had? Not really. A lot of the things that I look back over my blog, and I am actually curating my blog now, and I have a hard time like tossing articles because they are part of my journey, and none of them aren't true, and very few are actually talking about like a specific platform or something like that. Mostly I write about principles that work today, and they worked 100 years ago, and they'll work 100 years from now, and mindset kind of stuff and empowerment kind of stuff. And so yeah, I don't really have anything that I wished I hadn't written. Do I, and if you guys have a question, certainly put it in. Do I have heroes? My parents are probably by far my heroes. What prayers do I pray? I don't really pray prayers, I guess. I didn't even know that was a thing. I pray in more of like a conversational tone. So it's never been like a prayer that I recite. Let's see. Where does your courage to claim your space as an expert come from? And I'm a Southerner, right? We claim and protect what's ours. And so if I didn't claim the space that was mine, like who would? Sort of, I had that kind of thinking. That kind of gave me the courage. I think more the courage came from the fear of not being fully expressed. I believe we have this one life, and so I don't want to die with my music still in me. I also had the courage to claim my space because no one was coming along to appoint me. I feel like I waited a really long time to be recognized as a leader. I waited a really long time for somebody to come and like tap me on the shoulder and be like, "You're it, Michelle. You're the best. This is your new spot in the world," or whatever, and that never happened. And so I knew that if I was to occupy that space, I would have to claim it on my own. And so the Southerner in me just kind of stepped up and thought, it's mine, I'm going to claim it. And plus, I saw a lot of people claiming expert spaces where they shouldn't have. And I think that irritated me and angered me. And so I decided, I do have some true, hard fought, battle-tested expertise. And so I'm going to go ahead and claim that spot, right? If not me, then who? What are your pet peeves? I try not to have pet peeves because I used to have a pet peeve, and you guys are going to laugh at this, but I used to have a pet peeve, and I have written about this, about people treating their pets as little children. And this was my pet peeve when I had 3 little children, and I would be very sarcastic. They're like, "Oh yeah, so-and-so is my baby." And I'm like, "Yeah, where's your baby now? At home in a cage," right? And so it was a huge pet peeve of mine. And so now I try not to have them because, as you guys know, now I have my smalls and now Sophie, and I definitely treat them as my kids. Now my kids are older. My oldest will be 20 October 1st. My next will be 18 November 11th. And my son turned 16 July 11th. And so now I kind of have room in my life for those 4-legged kids, I guess. I do have one pet peeve, really, and it's people who don't think critically. People who will take a headline and like run with it. And I remember this. I remember this became a pet peeve of mine when Obama was in office. It's gotten worse since then. I'm partial to facts. I'm just partial to facts. It's who I am. And so sometimes you got to dig a little bit to get to the facts, but I'm partial to facts. And so a pet peeve of mine is people who don't think critically. Okay, knowing that others think that loving making money is considered a masculine trait, does it bother you? No. What other people think is really none of my business. Does it bother me? No, because being called masculine doesn't really bother me. I don't know. I've never really heard. I've heard like business and selling and stuff is more of a masculine trait. I've been accused of being too masculine. I've been called too masculine. Everything from my writing to the font I use to I don't know what else is masculine about me. But I have definitely been accused of being masculine. I don't take it necessarily as a put down. I think it's meant as a put down. But yeah, it doesn't bother me if people think that loving making money is a masculine trait. I don't even know where that would come from, but if they think that, that's fine. And if they think that and then they see that in me and they call me masculine, that's fine too. I'm okay with it. Where does your confidence come from? This is such a pat answer. But, you know, my mom grew up in, she had some time spent in foster care. It wasn't easy. Her mom was an alcoholic. There's a lot to that story. And she went to a camp when she was maybe 13, and in that camp she walked away with the idea that God didn't make any junk, and that's where her confidence came from. And all throughout my growing up, I knew that I was important to God. I knew that, you know, God created me even though the whole world had already been created, and like somehow God thought like that there was a need for someone like me. And anyway, that really is where my confidence comes from. I've said over and over again, it's not in who I am, but in whose I am, I guess, is the Christianese way to put that. But yeah, my confidence comes from just, you know, who created me. And I also, you know, give a great deal of thanks to my parents for instilling confidence in me. Well before Hillary Clinton ran for office, my parents would say, you know, you can do anything you want, you can be anything you want. If you want to be president, you could be president, you know. Fortunately, I don't want to be president. Have you seen how that ages people, right? No. So that's where my confidence comes from. And I also build my confidence. I feel like confidence is really the determining factor for how far someone goes. And so while I'm naturally confident, I also build my confidence very deliberately. I, make sure that I remind myself, especially when I'm down or when I'm feeling like, kind of flat, that, I've done some pretty amazing things. I have sort of, I have cards and testimonials from people. I don't just use those to market. I use those sometimes when I need to be picked up and reminded of what I'm doing here, and so that also helps build my my confidence. Let's see. If you could have dinner with anyone who's now gone, who would it be and why? I have to say, I wish there was maybe a better answer to this, but I've really only lost one person in my life that I deeply loved, and it was my granddad. And I'd love to have him back. Anyway, I'd love to have him back, even just for dinner, right? What would we talk about? Who knows? Farming, or who knows what we talk about, right? But that would be my answer to that. And I wish there was a more evolved answer, but that's the truth. I would really love to have dinner with him again. Even though he ate like he had never eaten before in his life every time he ate, but I'd love that. What have been the benefits of running for you? Obviously, it was not losing weight. I've run for a long time, and pretty consistently for a really long time. And so the benefits of running really for me have always been a clear head, and sometimes running out frustration, some physical movement when I needed that, and just the freedom of running because of where I run and the area that I run in. And so I just love being out in nature. I love that. It feels expansive to me, but mainly just the mental aspect. I wish running made me lose weight, because I would have never had a weight problem. Unfortunately, it does not. Okay, what's been the most challenging for you in being a mother? Honestly, the constant decision making has been the most challenging for me. I question myself a lot as a mother. Am I too lenient? Am I too strict? Am I being too lenient, being too strict? Am I pushing them too much? Am I not pushing them enough? It's always this, I don't know. So the constant decision making has been the most challenging. As your kids get older, it's like the consequences to your yes or the consequences to your no seem to take on so much more meaning, and that's been the toughest. What's been the easiest is loving them. My kids are easy to love. What are you sometimes defensive or sensitive about? I think, like most people, I'm defensive and sensitive about the things that I care about most, right? So my kids, my role as a wife, I'm sensitive to that. I'm not your standard typical wife, and so I'm sensitive about that. And also women who wow, right? I get daggone prickly with women who wow. With people, just today I had someone who actually was giving me a compliment, and she said something about wow. I'm like, we don't need that, right? I'm pretty sensitive and defensive about anything that I care deeply about. That's not, maybe, I don't know, maybe I need to work on that. A productivity hacker tool that helps me get stuff done. This is very easy for me. The things that help me get the most done is a clear agenda and a rebellious streak, right? A clear agenda of knowing what I'm up to, and a rebellious streak, I do not have to do it that way. I do not have to go through those steps. I can do it this way. I can do it my way. Those things are have been what has allowed me to be most productive. If I have a clear agenda, I know what I'm doing. I know why I'm doing it, and I can measure it. If it's not working, I stop doing it without apology, without notice, any of that. So clear agenda and a rebellious streak has been my top 2 productivity hacks. How do you recover from disappointment? I did write a disappointment recovery plan, and thank you. So Denise says, where do you get your inner strength from? So I'll answer that. I also answered earlier, where I got my confidence from. But so how do I recover from disappointment? I wrote a disappointment recovery plan. I think it has 5 steps on the internet, and it's on my blog, and I can post a link below. But disappointment is just part of it, right? It's part of life. It's part of this gig. It's part of being in business. And a lot of people will say, well, I might, are you disappointed in me, or, whatever. And I feel the same way you would feel if X if I did X to you, I feel the same way that you would feel if X happened to you. But really, disappointment is really just part of it. It's part of life and it's temporary. And so I choose not to dwell on disappointment. I don't love a negative energy anyway, but that's really how I get over disappointment. Where do you get your inner strength from? My faith provides me with a huge dose of strength. My convictions, my core convictions, I feel like we get stronger. Our inner strength gets stronger every time we are super clear and stand for what we believe in. I make tough decisions all the time. I get my inner strength I think just from my faith and my conviction and what I'm doing and what I'm up to. I also greatly respect strength, and I was not put on this earth to be timid or weak, and so I refuse to take those on. And instead, I also, just like I said earlier about my confidence, I also deliberately build inner strength, right? I have a whole program called Betting on You. It's a mental toughness program, and I feel like it has been the secret to me even still being here in business has been my inner strength. I kept going when a lot of other people quit. I stayed the course when a lot of other people were jumping ship. And the inner strength is something that I feel like the misconception is that it is something you're born with or not. I do not believe that. I believe that inner strength is something that can be built and that should be built by you on a daily basis. I remind myself of what I'm up to every day, and that gives me strength, right? Even when I feel like I don't want to face the disappointment or face the rejection or whatever, I can do that. I build that every day because I'm up to something that matters to me, and it also matters to other people. And so I do that. My Meemaw just jumped on, so if you guys want to say hello to my Meemaw, she's on. All right, so what is my go-to ice cream flavor? Obviously Ben & Jerry's Half Baked. Love that ice cream. What do you want your impact to be each and every day and overall? This is a good question, and it was super easy for me to answer. So empowerment is what I want my impact to be. Utter, total, and complete empowerment. Needing nothing and no one. That is where true freedom lies. And so I am absolutely committed to empowering women. And one of the top ways to empower women is through financial empowerment. And that's, I think, what business can give women more quickly than, say, climbing the ladders at a job somewhere. And so I think that is my ultimate goal every day. Is empowerment. All right, name someone who's had a significant influence on you growing up outside of your family, outside of your immediate family. So outside of my immediate family is a huge extended family, right? And our family is big. We are loyal, often to a fault. Even when we're not law-abiding, we're loyal, and we're hardworking. And so I grew up in a family like my Meemaw. I worked and worked when most women didn't. My mom's mom worked when most women didn't. I never met my mom's mom. I have a lot of strong women around me, strong matriarchs around me, great aunts and aunts. And so my aunt, which is Meemaw's daughter, my dad's sister, had a tremendous impact on me. She was part of my fan club growing up. And so so the significant influence that my extended family had on me was just their loyalty and their hardworking ness, I guess. It was just who we were, and that had a huge impact on me. Outside of my family, I knew one working mom, only one, and I watched her more than she probably knows I watched her. She was an anomaly to me. Where I lived, most moms stayed at home, and she worked at the school, and I watched her. I watched how she balanced, and it was she had a big impact on me. I had a cheering coach who forced me to follow rules. I really loved cheering, and so I followed her rules. I didn't follow anyone else's rules, but I followed hers. And I had a theater coach who pushed me to never even acknowledge the rules. So I had both of those dichotomies. dichotomies, and I loved that in and of itself. But so outside of my family, the working mom, the cheering coach, and the theater coach were probably those that had the biggest impact on me, that I knew in my daily life. I was also quite the reader. I was always reading something, and so I learned from a lot of people in that regard as well. How did you move from a pay the bills mindset to more abundance? And this was something that I feel like is critical for the self-employed person, because this was definitely a decision, and I have some practical things around that, which I'll go into just briefly. But essentially, when I started my business, I was a new mother, and my husband was a public school teacher, and so I started out just figuring out, could I make money from home? Could I replace my former full-time income while working from home? And that was the goal. That was the only goal. And so my whole, when I talked about my business, which I didn't even realize was a business back then, but when I talked about that, my thoughts and my words were, I'm doing this, I'm just going to make ends meet. I'm going to make ends meet. Essentially, I'm going to take my husband's income and I'm going to supplement it, and I'm going to replace my former income. I had no idea. And that was really, I mean, I'm not poo-pooing on that. That's a huge feat. A lot of people never replace their full-time income as a self-bosser, and I was able to do that in the first year of business, and then some. And so, but I still, it's like I had this phase in my business, like if my husband, who back then in the summers he would do landscaping or whatever, and if he made $4,000 extra dollars, like I made $4,000 less. I literally could not understand like what was going on. And then it hit me. I'm like, wait a minute. My whole goal for this business has been to make ends meet. And so I literally, the first thing was making a decision that I wanted more. And the second thing was to allow myself to want more, right? Like I had been telling myself for years the story of all the things that didn't matter, right? Name brands, vacations, private school. Like I had been telling myself all the things that didn't matter, and they were all the things I felt like I couldn't afford. And so when I made the decision that I was going to go more than make ends meet, I started allowing myself to want and even say that I wanted fancier things, to be able to desire something that would pull me out of the making ends meet, kind of barely making the end of the month kind of stuff. And that's really what it was, a decision. And then I started allowing myself to want more things, and then I allowed my income to start funding a new lifestyle, a new level of lifestyle, and it kind of went up from there. And then finally, unless somebody else has another question, but what makes your day? And I'm easy, right? Like what makes my day is super easy to do. I'm not really, like sometimes I'm not really into Chris like bringing flowers home. I usually have fresh flowers in the house just from my grocery store trip. I love space and freedom, and so my worst days are when I am very, very scheduled and frantic and have a bunch to do. My best days are when I don't have to leave the house, when I have a lot of space and freedom to journal and to blog and to write and to engage with you guys like I'm doing today. I love rainy days. It just started raining outside, and I have all of my cushions and furniture outside, so I need to go get that. But yeah, so that's what makes my day, just space and freedom. So I appreciate you guys. These questions were fun. I appreciate the person who encouraged me to do this, and I hope it serves somebody, right? I hope that it helps someone. I tried to mix in some personal questions as well as some business questions. But if you have any other questions, just private message me, and we will get together. And if you are not registered for Women Who Wow Live 2018 in Nashville, Tennessee, you are totally going to miss out. This is one you're going to regret not coming to, I promise you. I'm super excited about our sponsors, including Vera Bradley, who's been a tremendous supporter of Women Who Wow, and thrilled to announce they're coming back in as a sponsor. And also keeping the fee to attend very low. Appreciate you guys. I'll talk with you soon. Bye.